What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going back onto some Fire Emblem content. There's just not much to be said about Pokemon right now, and my mind is just fixated on Fire Emblem right now. So this is going to be a reclassing tips guide, I guess. Not like the end all. I'm not going to say the end all be all for what class you should put people into. I'll do those guides maybe later. That could be maybe some future content coming up. But this is just going to be kind of helping you think of how you should be reclassing your units, and you know what to think about. So there's some vocabulary I want to get out of the way, and I'll kind of show the format I'm using. So on spreadsheet, I just like to do this. I'll have the unit up top. So for example, I'll do like a Leer will be here. I'll put the class I recommend them being in. Just say Divine Dragon. Next, I'll put their proficiency, which does matter because if they're proficient in something and they reclass into like a mixed class, maybe something that has, you know, swords and lances. If they have a proficiency in swords, they can maybe take that B rank to A rank, which allows them to use different weapons. This happens for a good amount of classes. I'll kind of go over that. I have my game pulled up, so I'll be able to like tell you exactly which ones are and are not, you know, necessary with proficiencies for reclassing. I'm having webcam issues and capture card issues, which is why there's no webcam. Instead, I've got my little logo watermark and no capture card, sadly, but I still want to get this video out. And then I'm going to do, so on top, so I'm going to be just talking about growth rates. You do have to think about like base stats and stuff, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to be talking about fixing like growth rates and stuff. Base stats would be something more for like I guess a more direct character guide than what this is going to be. So I'll have the base growths up on top, you know, HP, strength, magic, defense, dex, speed, defense, resistance, luck, build, and then below, right below it, in the second row, I'm going to do the new total of what they are, what these base stats are, plus the gross in their new stat, or their new class. So if Alir's base HP is 60 and Divine Dragon gives plus 10, then I'm going to put 70 here instead of 60. And then right here, I have this little thing that's just kind of displaying what I would say the average stats for all of these, the average numbers for all of these stats would be. Kind of give about like 5 to, I would say 5 points away from this number is about average. You know, build obviously 0 is not average. Like 5 to 10, I guess for build I can write that. 5 to 10 would be like your average build. Luck would be like, you know, somewhere around 30, 35, 25. Resistance is like 25 to 30. Is about your average. Defense about 30. Speed is probably the highest average, like 35, 40. If you're looking like 30 speed, it's probably not average. I think you're looking a little more shaky. So I guess I'll just call it 40. I'll just call it 40. Dex is like 30 to 35. Magic, strength is about, you know, 30. You know, if you have 35, 25, you're still looking about average. And then HP is just like 50 plus. if you're below 50, you're looking rough. If you're above 50, you're doing good. This isn't, and this is also considering, you know, maddening mode and trying to make the character the best they could possibly be. You know, the most impactful to your run, not the most fun, but like the most viable, I guess, is a good way to put it. And then some other terms. So here's what I'm going to be saying about the stats. So I'm going to be saying something like patching, or I'm going to be saying fixing. So when I say patching, what I mean is if you're turning a bad stat to average. So if let's I'm just gonna pull up a random number. I'm just gonna say a random number. Alir's magic, I guess, is 20%. That is below average. So if I was going to put Alir into a magic class, I would be patching the magic because it would be about average. It would take it to like 40 or so in Sage, something like that. It'd be making that stat a little bit close to the average number of like 30. If I say fixing, I think you're taking an average stat and making it good. So Alir's, what's an average stat on Alir? Resistance. 25 resistance. If I want to fix the resistance, then I put him in a class like High Priest, Martial Monk. That gives a lot of resistance. Then I'm fixing it because I'm taking this average stat and I'm making it good. I'm hitting it, you know, a high growth rate threshold. It's gonna make it good. So that's what I mean by that. So patching and fixing. Patching again, you know, making something bad turn it to average. For like something like speed, I guess a good example of this would be like speed. If I'm gonna try to patch someone's speed, this means their speed is low, they're getting doubled, they're not ever doubling anything, If we're patching that, we're going to try to make their speed good enough so that they don't get doubled and can maybe double some slow units, like armors at the very least. And if we're fixing speed, you know, this is let's say we have a character that is not getting doubled most of the time, maybe like getting doubled like the super fast units like sword masters, is doubling slow units but usually just hitting one. It's usually just like never getting doubled but also not doubling themselves. If we're fixing their speed, we're now making sure that they never get doubled and that they are doubling most enemies in the game. So that's patching and fixing for, you know, use examples, and I'll go over that as I talk about characters. So I'll use a couple characters examples and like classes to tell you, to kind of give you an idea. Like Alir is not one of them. Alir makes anything work, but let's go through. So let's see. The first character I'll showcase is Alfred. So let's go ahead and steal Alfred's stats. I'm gonna pull it up over here and type it in. So Alfred, his proficiency is in lances, and his base growths are 65 HP, 40 strength, which I would say is above average strength. He has 5 magic. Oops, that's 5 dex. Let me do this real quick so I can see this easier for myself. 5 magic, 35 dex, 40 speed, 40 defense, 20 resistance, 40 luck, and 10 build. So looking at everything, above average HP, you know, good HP, good strength, magic doesn't exist, average dex, average speed, good defense, average resistance, pretty good luck, and pretty good build. I'd say 10. You're looking like good, honestly. So he's kind of average here. If you wanted to make, when I think about reclassing Alfred, the issues of him is his speed. The fact that his bases aren't very good, his base speed isn't very good, and his growth is only average, so it's not really going to help him out too much. So I think a great way to fix him is to reclass him into something like, let's say, Griffin Knight. There's multiple classes that can do this. I'm just going to, you know, use a couple examples and say why. So Griffin Knight, you have the lance proficiency. You're going to be able to use S lances. Griffin Knight, if we look here, gives you a 20% speed growth. As you can see right here. Speed 20%. Also gives a little bit of strength, which is cool. A little bit more dex, resistance, and luck. So can also kind of patch up his resistance a little bit, which is not too stellar. So let me pull it up on my side here. So if we put him into Griffin Knight, we now are working with 50 strength. We're now looking at 28 magic, which helps really only for healing, I guess. His dex is now 50, which is going to help his hit rate. His speed now goes to 60, which is very high speed growth. You know, the highest speed growth characters are hitting is someone like Chloe's hitting like 75. So hitting 60 is more than respectable. Being above 50 is what you really want to do. Resistance would be about 35. Luck would be now 55. So now we're taking this Alfred, who wants to be a frontliner with his high defense, high strength, and, you know, pretty good speed in the build. He wants to use lances. He wants to get up front. He wants to kind of frontline and contribute to damage. Now we give him the speed so he doesn't get doubled, and he's doubling things. And we helped the strength a little bit, which didn't really need it. And also helped his resistance out a little bit too, so he doesn't get obliterated by magic, I guess, which he kind of does before. So this is an example of fixing. This is an example of fixing speed. We're taking this 40, you know, he's a character, Alfred is a character that suffers from not doubling, and then getting doubled later on because he just never catches up. So putting him in a class like Griffin Knight, Bow Knight, Wolf Knight, these ones that give like 20 speed. I think it's just those 3. Yeah, Bow Knight, Griffin Knight. You could do Sword Master too, but like, I'll go over, you know, class guides later, just for examples. Putting in something that gives him 20% speed is gonna fix this speed and allow him to start doubling things, you know. You could always put on like Lin to make him double, but I think emblems are best used to make really good units insane rather than making, you know, rather than fixing something. I don't think emblems should be used to patch or fix. I think emblems should be used to make someone just utterly broken. Like, you can make a super slow unit like at TA with 35 speed. I guess not super slow. Who's someone super slow? Jade, 30 speed. You can put Lynn on her, get her kills, get her that plus 10 speed and the speed up from running Lynn. And so I guess at the end of the map you can start snowballing and doubling things, or you could put Lynn on someone like Chloe, or someone who's already pretty fast like Kagetsu. Get him a couple kills, and now they're doubling everything for sure, and now they're dodge tanking everything for sure, and stuff like that. Or maybe someone who's like kind of fast, like Ivy, got like 40, so she's already potentially doubling things, and then with like 2 kills, she's doubling the map. So that's a much better use of like emblem rings. So I don't consider emblem rings when I'm talking about fixing, patching. Just ignore them. they will come in other builds. Just pretend they don't exist for the case of this. All right, let's go over another character. Let's go over Amber. He's pretty similar to Alfred. He's another lance proficient unit. He's another cavalier. I'd say these two are pretty comparable in terms of pretty much everything. So let's go over and put his growth rates in. Amber is looking at 65 HP, 45 strength, which is tied for the highest in the game. He has 0 magic. He has 25 dexterity, but it's kind of okay because he has his personal skill, which gives him hit rate. 30 speed, which is pretty below average. 35 defense, 5 resistance, which is very bad, and 35 luck, which is good, and 15 build, which is great. And we're gonna put Amber into the same class, Griffin Knight. We're gonna put Amber into Griffin Knight. So in Griffin Knight, you get the 10 to strength, so he's going to 55 strength, which is nice. He gets the 15 magic, which will help him out. He's gonna get where is it? Another 15 to his dex, making it go 40. His speed now goes to 50, which is maybe a little bit above average. His resistance gets helped out a little bit, making it now 20. Helps him a little bit, and his luck goes to 50. And then build doesn't get touched. Let's take a look to this Griffin Knight compared to Alfred. The 10 speed is honestly a huge deal. This 50 speed, this still isn't doubling things. This is maybe allowing Amber to not get doubled. It is helping his speed out a little bit, or his strength out a little bit. It's helping his resistance out a little bit, but this is kind of more of a case of patching, which I don't think is as good. I don't think patching stats is going to be as good. I think you might be better off putting a unit to something they're going to be, excelling at. Putting Alfred into a class that makes him fast. He's not really going to be fast still. Instead, what he excels at is being strong, so you should try to build him as a bruiser, maybe give him a little bit more defense, so he can take physical hits. Patching the resistance is nice. Just making him do more damage in the one hit, maybe putting him in like a bow class to have him do single damage or something like that is going to be better, because you're not going to be able to make him, you're going to have to invest too much. Just by changing his class, you're not going to be able to fix his speed. You're going to have to invest in like speed wings and skills like speed +3, speed taker from Lynn. You have to put Lynn on him, stuff like that, to make him double. While instead, I think some Amber would be better in a class like, so let's go ahead and just copy this and repaste it here. I think Amber would be better in a class, say like Halberdier. Where Halberdier, if I go ahead and pull the growth rates up, gives another 10 to his HP, so it gives him a little bit of tankiness to him. 15 to his strength, so he's now going to 60 strength, so hitting really hard. A little bit of magic doesn't really matter. Adds another good amount to his dex, so he's hitting even more accurately. Does give him a little bit of speed, making him about average, which might help him not get doubled by, like everything. At least by like, middle speed units might not double him now. Gives him a good buff to his defense. Does throw on something for his resistance, I guess. And then something for his luck. So this is looking like a much better unit. You have high strength here, now you're to average speed, giving him good defense. This is looking a lot better as, and this would be, I wouldn't even call this fixing anything. I think this is just specializing. Specializing in damage is what I'm gonna call this. I think this is a much better reclass for Amber. You can also just stay like Paladin and do kind of the same thing. But I think like this is a much better way to use reclassing for a character instead of, you know, trying to patch. I think Griffin Knight, we're looking at these two Cavaliers, two Lance Cavaliers. I think you can fix, you know, they both suffer from speed, they both have good damage. I think you can fix Alfred's speed. You can turn this 40 to 60, while Amber, you're turning this 30 to 50, which is just, you know, I guess in 10 levels is a speed point. And 10 levels on fixed mode, Alfred's getting 6 points of speed, and Amber's getting 5 points of speed. You might not think it's like the biggest deal, but in random growths, you know, it's a bigger deal. It's still like, it's a point. Maybe Alfred and Amber have 12. Alfred has 13 speed, Amber has 12 speed, and the enemy has 8. Alfred is doubling, Amber is not. You know, this is kind of a pretty close example. Like I still think Amber can make a fine Griffin Knight if you want him to be, but this is just kind of a quick little example. You know, I feel like specializing is better than patching, but fixing is a good way to go around. It's a good way to go through things. Another way to kind of patch is if you do insist on patching. Let's go ahead and take Amber again. If you do want to patch, I think you should put him in a class that not only that maybe gives them a different role. For this example, I'm going to throw Bow Knight onto Amber. His personal skill gives him hit plus 20 as long as he and the other unit are secluded. As long as there's no one adjacent to either of them. So basically in a one-on-one where they're just kind of left alone for the most part. He gets hit plus 20, which is great for bows. And he already has high damage, so he's going to be able to... You're turning this semi-squishy, not like squishy, but you know, not the tankiest unit who has good damage. You want to patch his speed, make him double some things, and just let him deal more damage, maybe a little bit safer. So Bow Knight would change his stats to 75 strength. He's going to 55 strength, 75 HP. His dex is now 45. His speed goes to 50 still, so this is kind of patching, same as Griffin Knight. His resistance gets patched up a little bit to 20, and then his luck gets put up to 50. So growth rate wise, this is looking a lot like Griffin Knight. You get a little bit more HP instead of magic, and then like a tiny bit more dex. So pretty much close. Like if we just like, I don't want to get rid of this, but like this is just kind of see them next to each other. You know, HP, strength. These stats are looking a lot closer, but the role is a lot different now. I guess, you know, you had Amber, who was going to be a bad healer because his magic was so low he wasn't going to be able to heal very much. Now you have Amber, who is in a new role and is able to use bows with his high accuracy, good dex, having a above average dex growth now, and his personal skill, he's going to be able to hit things with a bow and hit them hard, and then still be able to do his lance shenanigans. Maybe he's going to be able to double some things with like an enhanced steel lance or something. And if you put someone like Amber into Bow Knight, you do actually raise the proficiency from like the secondary. So Bow Knight, you have A rank in bows, and then you have C rank in either sword, lance, or axes. But if you have a proficiency in one of those three, you turn it into a B. So Amber in Bow Knight has B rank, which still allows him to use the specialty weapons like Rider's Bane, Steel Lance. He doesn't really get to use like Spear, Silver Lance, and he doesn't get to use like, you know, the S rank weapons or whatever. You can still use the heroes, not that like the heroes package, whatever that gives you, the heroes bonuses weapons, which are really strong. So you still have access to all the things you want. You now have A rank in bows. You can use silver bow, longbow, radiant bow, which you're not going to use, but that's where that proficiency comes in handy, is kind of, you know, reclassing of giving a different role, but he can still kind of keep the same thing of what he wanted to do and be a strong lancer, hit things hard, possibly double with patching. So this is kind of more, I guess it's turned into like an Alfred showcase, like an Alfred idea. Or Amber, I keep saying Alfred. Amber idea. But I guess, you know, when you look at things, putting him in Griffin Knight and putting him in Bow Knight, the growth rates look the same, but the utility and the usefulness is way different because, you know, he's bad with staves because of his low magic, no matter what, and he's just gonna be like kind of average. He would just be like an average Griffin Knight. Everyone would be a better Griffin Knight, but as a Bow Knight, he's still able to deal great damage, and you're still patching his speed. So it's like patching, but giving him something more to do. You can't just patch with growth alone. You have to consider a class. That'll give him more. You know, Wolf Knight could be kind of the same thing as Bow Knight, but so he has like strong dagger attacks or something. You know, that could be another case here. Maybe Sword Master. You can make him like I feel like Sword Master would just be Griffin Knight, honestly. And then taking proficiency into account, when switching him into Bow Knight, you are now raising that lance rank instead of making it C. You know, if you put him into a sword Bow Knight, he would have a C rank swords and wouldn't really use swords for anything. He can like use steel. I guess that's about it. If he can even use steel, actually. I'm gonna double check if steel is what rank steel is or not. Steel is C, so yeah, you'd be on steel, but you wouldn't have things like Rider's Bane, I don't believe. Oh, Rider's Bane is actually like D rank, so never mind. Oh, and silver is B. So okay, so disregard what I said. Sorry. So with B rank, Amber is able to use silver lances still on Bow Knight, and I guess he's not able to use what, like. I think he can still use spear. I think he can still use most things. Weapon ranks are pretty low in this game, so having B and everything, you're gonna be fine. So, Amber, Amber and Bow Knight can still use his silver lance, and you're patching his speed. But then you also give him that kind of backup role of using a bow and being a good archer. While Griffin Knight, you know, of course he can use silver lance still, but he doesn't have that role, and so if he doesn't have that kind of flexibility of being an archer now. Or he's not like specializing in his damage, so if he starts, so when he becomes just kind of a painfully average Griffin Knight, there's nothing more for him to do, and you have to reclass again. So that's kind of what this is a very cluttered and sloppy video, but I hope this kind of gets the point across. There's other things you have to keep in mind too, such as every character has maximum stats, so whatever class Alir is in, they can have 1 point over the maximum strength. Vander is going to be 1 point below the maximum magic, so if he's in Sage, which has a max magic stat of 48, Vander would be stuck at 47 magic, so would Clan. That's so funny. Why does Clan have? That's so funny. So there's some things to consider like this when reclassing, like if you want to put a fast character into Berserker, which has a speed cap of 29, and let's say you are, I don't know, Chloe could be 32 Berserker, so maybe she could work, but Louis would be not even 29, he'd be 27 speed or something, so there's some other things like this you should take into consideration too when reclassing, but I just kind of wanted to go over this, and like these are things to think about when you're thinking about reclassing to make a character better. This was a cluttered and sloppy video, but hopefully it kind of helps you guys out. I will do more once I think I have a really good opinion on, a really solid opinion on who I think, you know, what I think the best classes for every character is. Maybe at least like the best 2 classes. I will start releasing videos, and again for maddening. So keep that in mind. You know, subscribe to the channel if you want to see that in the future. I promise I have better made videos. This is kind of just like spur of the moment. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Please let me know if you want to see more Fire Emblem content. I hope you guys do. And if you don't, too bad. I'm going to make it anyways because I love Fire Emblem. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Love y'all. Peace.